It's freaking started already. Yeah, let me just do a couple of things. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Woo! Excited to be here today. Excited to be here. This has been a long week. I think we have gotten through a lot of great conversations as far as narcissistic abuse, as far as understanding what it is that we're going through, or that you may be going through right now. Putting, I guess, a name to it, besides bad-ish behavior. Um, yeah, we really, who is this? I don't know who this is. Hold on, I'm sorry. Do, 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 do. Hey Jackson, how you doing? Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. I don't know if people request to join or TikTok and it's like craziness just sends people over to me. But hey, we're going to stay on topic. I'm happy to have anybody in this room. Um, let's connect. Let's get those questions out there, people. Let's really get those questions out there. I think we should really take time to gain clarity in these situations. I think it's kind of important. Let me go ahead and let TD up in here. I think it's very important that we always seek clarity in these situations. I've been there. I know what it's like to be and feel confused. It's not really a good feeling. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not really a good feeling when you are not sure about the person that you're saying that you love, and they tell you every once in a while that they love you. If you've seen any of my videos today, this is where we connect the dots, okay? Because a lot of people think something went wrong. A lot of people, hey James, thank you for joining. A lot of people think that they caused the problem while they're in these narcissistic relationships. But you know what? We're not going to start with them. We're going to start with you. I think it's very important because you can go any place and find out a ton of information about narcissistic abuse. I mean, that's how I learned about half the stuff that I learned was that I just went around looking for it. And there's a lot of stuff out there, but I want to bring a little difference to the conversation. I want to change the conversation a little bit, whereas people understand that as survivors, your voice needs to be heard. The things that you experience needs to be told, and I want to create a safe space for that. I want to give people a safe space where they can talk about how they felt. At the end of the day, that's what really matters. How you felt in this dynamic, how it affected you, how post out of the relationship it's affecting you now. Um, so let's start off with I'm going to wait for a few people to get in here. But we're going to start off with, and I'm going to share with you guys, we're going to start off with the lack of empathy. I may want to tell the I thing. It just seemed while I was in that dynamic that no matter what I was going through, I was never going to get any support. It could be work, it could be health, it could be personal problems. If I brung it up, I was made to feel as if I was introducing a problem, as if I was introducing something that was distasteful. I found that to be very, very weird, okay? Because in my mind, if I'm in a relationship with you, if you're saying that you care about me and I'm saying that I care about you, I'm going to be present for you, okay? If you're having a rough day at the job, I want to hear about it. If at the very least, I want you to have that space to vent, okay? Um, but yeah, there was one time, I remember one time I screwed up something really bad at work and I came home and I wanted to talk about it. I had already figured out, if I was going to get through it, but my head was still on the chopping block. Um, and I came home and I wanted to talk to her about it. And I have never felt in my life as an adult that I was being a pain in the ass. I literally, that was the feeling that as I discussed it more and more and more, I just started to trail off because I'm like, wow. I really felt as if they were working on a physics equation that Einstein couldn't figure out, and I was interrupting them. So that is usually the first red flag that we experience in these dynamics. If you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm multi-streaming. But yeah, that's one of the red flags that actually show up. But as always, we tend to make excuses for their behavior. Okay, that we make these excuses for their behavior because, oh, my buddy's here, thank you, buddy. My buddy's here. Hopefully Janana Mama will actually be able to join. Thank you, buddy. You see, I get excited when you're here.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, hopefully you're having a great day. um, I guess before I dive deep, it's hot outside and I found myself running from bees. I'm allergic to bees.
What?
Yeah, I'm allergic to bees. And
Oh my gosh.
I'm
yeah.
sitting outside and I saw like two big giant. I run from yellow jackets because I've never been stung by them, so I figure they're in the same
You don't
family.
know.
Yeah, I just run. So I was outside actually making a clip, and then I heard like the deep, bzzz, and I freaking ran. I snatched up my tripod and just ran. But
It's the narcissists. They're coming after us.
yeah, exactly.
No.
That's why I don't like summer because when I was little, I got stung by a bee and my hand blew up like a basketball when I was like 6 years old. So yeah, my grandmother told me stay away from those, but you need to stay away from bees. So now I just run. I figured, hey, listen, better safe than
That
sorry.
sounds like a plan.
But what we're talking about today, and I think talking about the bee story made a few people that's in here run out. But what I'm talking about today, and I'm making it very, I guess, clear to people, is those red flags that we saw and we ignored. I think we have to admit that we knew what was going on. And I used a couple of, I guess, outtakes from the criteria from the DSM-5. And, huh? You like the DSM-5?
That was my little granddaughter.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Yeah. So I might have to get off.
No, please, do what you got to do. You can get off now. I can hold the room. Spend time with your granddaughter.
She's into Bluey right now, so.
Oh yeah, go watch Bluey. That's a lot of fun. Hey, don't let me be in the way of that. Don't let me be in the way.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, one of the things that I noticed that I felt the first sign that something was off, and I've told this story before, so I'm not going to share that story, was the complete and utter lack of empathy. I was speaking about that I was having problems at the job, and my head was kind of on the chopping block. Once you hit management, nobody really needs an excuse to let you go. They don't, it's just one of those things. Like if your boss has a bad day,
shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like what happened to our money? I don't have to that.
What I did was I was selling. I was into wireless sales, and I know I counted the safe, and we found the person that did it. But like 8 phones turned up missing. And I was and I was early shift, so this wasn't figured out until closing shift. So I'm panicking. I'm panicking because if I can't figure out a reason, if people can't roll cameras, I might go start looking for another job right now. And I don't even have the phones. This is not my fault. So I come home and I want to I'm frustrated. So you would think that if you come home, now you have someone that you could actually talk to about it. Never in my whole freaking life. As I said earlier, I felt like she was in the middle of figuring out the secrets to the universe via a physics problem. And I was just talking gobbledygook. I felt that like I was intruding. And the reality of the matter was they weren't doing anything. It's just that they couldn't show up. They couldn't be present for me.
Oh yeah.
They can't, because if it doesn't affect them, which it would have in the end run, if it doesn't affect them immediately, they don't care. That's your problem. Well, you go ahead and figure it out. I was told stuff like, I don't know to tell you, that's your job. You work there. You're going to know the best way to go with this. And this is a huge red flag that the person that you're in a relationship with, the person that says every once in a while that they love you, is that they can't be present for you in your times of need. And I can spend days just talking about different stuff from, you know, the cold, the time I caught COVID and I couldn't catch my breath. It's like this whole attitude of uncaring, and I remember one time, Aunt Flo came, and this was this big thing. Well, when Aunt, you know what Aunt Flo is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always this big thing. Everything in the house has to stop. I'm in pain. I've got cramps. I've got this. I've got that. And everybody would kind of, and the whole lot would bow down. Nothing was getting done. Nothing ever got done anyway. But nothing was definitely going to get done now. Everybody had to listen to the moaning the whole day long. And and I get it. I get it. So there was one point I was like, I understand. And I don't think she knew at the time. I actually, when I was in the military, my first duty station in Newport, Rhode Island, I actually worked OBGYN. So this was like, that was the most horrifying experience of my life because half of the sailors that came through the clinic, I personally knew. So I got yelled at by a doctor because I was looking out the window. He was like, "Oh, wow, that's great, Robinson." So if she said I did something inappropriate, at least you could tell me what birds were flying past the window. So yeah, because I got to do standby. And so I told her, I was like, with your age and everything else, it's like every month maybe you should go see a doctor, And she basically just raged out at me. You don't know. You're not a woman. You would never understand this pain. And I was like, you're probably right, but when anybody else is hurt, you don't really care. Because they're not really hurt. They don't know what it's like to go through this. And I was like, pain is relevant to the person that's experiencing it. And I don't think to this day she understands that. You can't disavow or dismiss somebody's pain because you're not feeling it. When I worked in the ER, I would actually have people that would, when I was an ortho tech at Peninsula Hospital, I worked in the ER, and there were people that came in with broken, like snapped bones, and they wouldn't even whimper. And there were some people that got a small fracture in one of their fingers, and they would be screaming to high heaven. You don't dismiss anybody's pain, especially in a relationship, because I feel that if you're in pain, that should be the first person that you should come to. So I think that's a red flag. And I need more people to get in here. This is kind of a dry room.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Or you just get the blank stare all the time, and you feel like you're just talking to yourself mostly.
Yeah.
But I've had my ex just let me down in serious times of need, and I don't even know why I even called on him.
Yeah.
But when I lost one of my family members really close, I called on him. He came around. He stayed for like 2 hours just to get laid. I think.
Yeah, basically.
And then he's like, "Well, I gotta go."
Pain.
Yeah. And I felt guilty afterwards. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I was in the wrong state of mind. But like, that's my inner things I got to work with. But I expected him to stand by my side, for the rest, at least one night. Hold me, console me. But no, he said, "No, I gotta go. You should hold close to your family." I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I don't, I've never been able to understand. Yeah, I do understand it. But this lack of empathy, it's kind of scary, And I think this is like a huge red flag that people notice because it may not be as serious as you're in pain. It may not even be that serious, as the kids would say. It's not that serious. But you still want to have the comfort that the person that you've introduced into your life is going to be there for you.
Yeah.
And later in the relationship, we stop sharing stuff with them because we get tired of getting shot down as if we're insignificant.
Yep, exactly. And then you're just silenced, no matter what the thing is, like.
Yeah.
Now, if something were to happen to them, though, like they lose their keys or something, everyone needs to jump up and help. And, it's like,
they're calling the president. You still got that button in front of you because I stubbed my toe.
Right?
We got to get a couple of world powers into this, But that's how selfish they are. That is how selfish they are. And this is a very telling thing about narcissistic abuses. You start to realize that they really don't care about anything but themselves, And since I'm going to clip this up sooner or later, I might as well say that if you have felt this way and you need some place or someone that you can talk it out, or you're going through it right now, okay, I do offer sessions, okay, and I do have a step-by-step plan. Just send me send me your information, DM me, and I'll get the stuff out to you. And also, I'm going to remind you, she's going to be setting a date soon for her workshop, Janana Mama. So yeah, definitely, follow her. I'm going to actually tag her in the post that I put up, with this. But go ahead and follow her so that you can get information on that. Again, anything that has the potential to take away the confusion, anything that has the potential to make you feel more confident, I figure it's worth a try. Because when you look at it, no matter, and I've got 25% off right now. He's been a great info. Oh, thank you. But yeah, I'm going to tell you something. It's 25% off now for either the sessions or the clarity sessions or the actual step-by-step guide. I'm going to tell you, it's like that commercial. Peace of mind is priceless. Peace of mind is priceless. And I can guarantee you, anybody that watches these videos, if your feed is filled up with this narcissistic abuse niche, that means that you've been looking for it. You've been trying to understand. And you have people that are going to help you get through it. So think about it. I can't tell you that you have to do it. I'm never going to tell you that. And I've even got, if you're a little tight, because narcissists will take your money. I know how they do. Okay, they will leave you dry on all fronts. So I know how they do. I have free resources as well. I have free resources to help people get out of the trauma bond. Now, another thing, and I'm going to move on to segment 2 because I'm like beat to hell right now. But segment 2 is their complete need for admiration. This is one of the most telling. Oh, thank you for watching. You've been around for a while. Damn. Thank you. But the narcissist has this insane need for admiration. Okay, it's part of the DSM-5. It's part of their mental makeup. They go through life just looking for admiration and to be validated based on the illusion that they've crafted in their mind as to what they are. Okay, so you will find they will. Oh my God, I can think back to the days where they would say something just out the blue. Oh my God, I've been trying to get this together. I'm never going to understand this. There's no way I'm going to be able to understand this. I'm never going to be figure this out. I'm going to be able to figure this out. This is feigned incompetence, or weaponized incompetence sometimes. But sometimes they just want you to say, "Oh, baby, you'll be able to figure it out. You're smart. You're very intelligent." That's what they want you to do. So you'll notice like towards the middle, just before the devaluation, there'll be this constant need for you to stroke their egos. Okay. This is again how they survive. Just like you need vitamin C and D to get through life, they need vitamin admiration. Okay. They've always got to feel as if someone else is validating the greatness that they placed in their minds. Okay. So think about that. Think about that. If you're in these relationships where you have a person that's always fishing for compliments, I'm not talking about every once in a while, because honestly, as human beings, every once in a while we need that little boost. We're having a bad day. Sometimes like some people get dressed up. They go and find their best clothing and they just walk around in circles around the neighborhood or go into the mall and just walk around because they're waiting for someone to say that they look very nice. I get that part. But the narcissist will take it to the next level. And by the time you realize this is what's being done to you, okay, you become very drained. You become very drained. The fishing for compliments on anything. It's like, here's a bowl of cereal. How does it taste? Do you like the way that the amount of milk that I put in it? Hey, HIBBTT, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Did I put enough milk in it? Did I sprinkle just enough sugar on it? Because they need you to constantly stroke, as people would say, stroke their egos. And I mean, it is to an insane level, and it starts to feel like work. It really starts to feel like it feels like a part-time job. You get to the point like, oh my God, why is he or she in here? What do you do now? They put on a hat and walk around you and go like this. I picked this up myself. And when something starts to feel, I don't think, again, I have a lot of concepts of what I think a relationship should and shouldn't be. And I may be wrong about 99% of it. But I don't think that a relationship is based on you putting the other person on a pedestal. Because if you notice, unless they're throwing a dart at you, when was the last time the narcissist in your life gave you a compliment, said you did something great, with nothing attached to it? They say, oh, you do that really great. I've been noticing that. The same things that you do for them. Do they do that for you? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. And like I said, when they get into that constant need for validation, it starts to feel like you're trying to prove your worth to them. I mean, that's the energy that you get. Oh, I'm complimenting you because I want you to think that I'm worthy to be in your presence. Again, to me, that's not a good. Hey, Manuel, thank you for joining. I think I've seen you here before. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's not healthy. And when we find ourselves understanding what we've been going through, and this is why I do this so much, is because I need people to understand what they're going through. It's not just you have a person that just doesn't know how to interact socially. No, they know how to interact socially better than you do, because this is how they get people to do their bidding. This is how they get people to validate them. This is how they get people to admire them. This is how they get people to do all the things that they can't do and make that person feel as if, hey, thank you for letting me do this for you. I know from our conversations that you're the best at that. I know too after you, because you're a pro at this. Thank you for letting me prove myself. It's not a good feeling. And I don't think that a person in a relationship should ever feel that their main and only purpose in that relationship is to serve the ego of the other person. If you understand that, even just a couple of you, put it in the chat. Because the only way that we get through this is by confronting it. Because I know there is going to be somebody that's going to say, if I clip this part, they're going to say, they're going to look at it, they're going to watch it over and over, and they're going to say, you know what, that's exactly how I feel. What the hell is wrong? What's going on? Maybe I should look deeper into this. Maybe I should get some clarity on this. Because you're going to find that when you don't get the clarity, when you don't find a way to figure this ish out, okay, and you just let it keep on sliding, what's going to happen? You're going to continue to lose pieces of yourself. In any narcissistic relationship, little, teeny, tiny pieces of you will be chopped away. And you're going to voluntarily let it happen. I'm going to be honest with you. You're the one that's letting it happen. At the end of the day, I understand they're manipulating you. They're lying to you. They're devaluing you. I get all of that. But the quicker you get clarity, the quicker you can get out. I mean, that's just the way the math works. But the longer that you keep on making excuses for this person, and while you're making excuses for this person, most of the excuses are based on you need to do better, then yeah, something's wrong. And that's why, Janana Mama, she offers her workshop that's coming up. I'm excited, by the way. This is why I offer clarity sessions, empath clarity sessions, where we can just talk for half an hour during Zoom and we'll figure this ish out together. Okay? Because I've been through it. She's been through it. A lot of people that I have on these panels have been through it. So if what we're saying to you starts to resonate, it starts to make sense, you start to be just a little bit less confused. Yeah, we was talking about that last night. It is in our nature. You're right, Janana Mama. Thank you for putting that there. But yeah, you have to, and that's my hope, is that once you find clarity, once you get free, once your nervous system stabilizes, that you will do the same thing. You'll pay it forward. You'll say, hey, listen, I know somebody else is trapped in this. Because at the end of the day, and I think I was in another room and people didn't understand where I was coming from. But I think at the end of the day, when you're dealing with this narcissistic dynamic, I don't think, unless a person has literally gone through the fire, that they're going to understand what you're going through. Yes, we can see, very well put, we can see the light on the other side of darkness, because it is darkness. And if you're here, if you stuck around, I appreciate you. But don't you feel lost? No, seriously, don't you feel lost? You're sitting in a house or an apartment or a cottage or a bungalow or whatever, and you're with this person, and you're literally freaking, every once in a while, you're looking at them and I don't know you. Who the hell are you? You're not the person that I met when we first started this. You're not that person, so who are you? Are you some doppelganger? Or you go? What are you? You're not the person that I fell in love with. To be in a relationship longer than 2 years and ever get to this stage is horrifying. It hurts. You've wasted time, you've wasted emotion, and this person's just been playing in your face like you was just like the biggest, fattest dummy in the world. It hurts. And now you've got to figure out a way out. You once you understand what you're dealing with, that's when the real horror show begins, because you've got to figure a way out without letting them know that you know, even though that they know that you know. But since narcissists are very, I forget that they just respond to stupidity in a strange way. They're very, what's that word we use? Impulsive, as far as they're not intentional with what they do. So they will actually just look for the short-term return and forget what you're doing. Like, oh, I can go back to punishing that person. I can go back to devaluing that person. They're not going to do anything. So yeah, that's one of the hardest parts, is figuring out your escape. I felt like, I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, Escape from Alcatraz. I had to figure it out. But luckily, we're never given too much than what we can bear. Whether you believe in the universe, Allah, God, doesn't matter. You're never given too much than what you can truly bear. And I think the more focused that I became on getting out, opportunities started just popping up. They would do something and that would just cause a ripple effect throughout the universe. And then I would get a phone call and this person would talk to me about this. I'd be sitting down talking to my therapist, and my therapist would say, hey, have you tried this? Here, let me give you this number. So once it's almost like The Secret, it's like, Rhonda Byrne, or who's that guy that I used to listen to? Or as Janana Mama always says Wayne Dwyer, if you're intentional and you put your mind to it, you'll probably figure out a way out. But if while you're still in that relationship, you're still going through, I'm going to blame myself game, I'm going to try harder, I can fix this person, then yeah, you're going to be stuck. Yeah, and I can't say, that's why I tell people, when you see this stuff, it doesn't have to be for me. Look at Janana Mama. Coach Brown actually has courses. I'm not sure. I'm going to ask her when I go into her room tonight. Does she have any programs for people that are going through narcissistic abuse? Um, but there's a lot of programs out there. There are a lot of ways that you can heal. I can only talk about mine because I created mine. I can talk about Janana Mamas because she's told me a little bit about it, and I think it's exciting. But you have to take that first intentional step, and you'll start to figure out that, okay, if I can get through this, I can get back to being me. I can get back to becoming that person that I was, that person that I was kind of pleased with. A little rough around the edges, but I still liked who I was. So yeah, you have to, and yeah, thank you, Janana Mama. You have to look at the bigger picture. And the narcissist has been training you throughout this situationship that they are the bigger picture. No, I self-preservation is the first law of nature. It works the same way in relationships. The way that I look at it is not being selfish. By me becoming a better person for myself, I now bring something to the table that I can add on to the relationship. I can now help the relationship grow. Um, yeah, I'm going to do that. But the narcissist doesn't think that way. They're very exploitative. They actually want to take. You will soon find in that relationship that everything is really a transaction, and it's kind of a tricky transaction. It's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because they've studied you. They know how to hit those emotional strings. They know what to say to you to make you feel guilt, to make you feel shame for saying no. And if that doesn't work, then they will actually say something to make you feel guilty or shameful for saying no. Um, when I came out, like I said, I have found throughout the years that if you are truly an empath, and I'm going to tell you this, narcissists are attracted to you like a moth to a flame. I'm still trying to understand it. I still am studying it so I can lock it down, so I can share it with you why this happens. Why I understand the creation aspect of it, I understand that part. But the fact that you get out of one relationship and it seems almost like the first person that introduces themselves to you and makes you feel just a little bit comfortable, you start peeling back those layers and you're like, what the hell is wrong with you? So here's the case of what I experienced with this person, and we don't even speak. We do not speak anymore because I kind of peaked the game. So having fun, enjoying each other's company, things happen. So one time I'm chilling with them and they kept on hinting, the few times I was over there, like they wanted me to clean up their house. I'm dead serious. I am dead serious. They're like, oh my God, these dishes. Oh my God, this. I can't do that. I gotta move all of these boxes. This, that, and up. This, that, and up. And they keep on saying it. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, listen, I don't live here. This is your house. I think this is your responsibility. I'm not saying that, but that's how I'm feeling. That is really how I feel. This is your responsibility. I thought that we were getting to know each other, not that I'm going to become, as I like to call it, your basketball. So they keep on, dropping these little hints, dropping these little clues. Caught them a few times. If I didn't bite, they would roll their eyes. Whatever. So one time we were playing video games together. Yes, I still play video games. Well, we was playing video games together. And they said, I will do X. Okay, we're just gonna leave it at X. I will do X for you if you help me clean up this stuff over here. That's kind of exploitative. Instead of just coming out and asking me, will you help me do this? Which more than likely I would have said yes. But they felt the need to manipulate the situation. And automatically, the previous narcissistic ish show, those things started coming to mind. And I started thinking, I was like, well, if I agree to this for this, what's going to happen is I might as well just agree to everything that they say. I might as well, and there were a couple of other things that actually cued me, like, okay, you've gone over five with a criterion. I can't mess with you. I just got out of something like this. I'm not going to reinsert myself into it again. But yeah, they're very manipulative and they're very exploitative. You have to remember the narcissist only wants their needs fulfilled. Your needs are not important. They never will be important. Okay? If again you feel in a relationship that your wants, your needs, your desires, your dreams are not important, then maybe you don't belong in that room. Maybe you don't belong in that space. Because again, me thinking outside of the box is relationships are built on the fact of each one supporting each other, each one helping each other. Okay, she just disappeared. Thank you, Coach Brown, for joining. I appreciate you. Just disappeared though. And Monk, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. So yeah, when I look at relationships, I say to myself, I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. Now when I look at any interpersonal relationship, if I see the person is jumping into I need to control you, if they're jumping into freaking what is that called, that manipulation. Oh, Karen, oh my god, she better come in here. They're coming into, the relationship with manipulation. You're starting to notice lies. I don't care. I think a lot of people have this thing where they accept white lies. In certain circumstances, I think they do work. I do. I thank you for the lights, Coach Brown. I think they do work. White lies, but not for serious interpersonal relationships. You're at the job. It's a good place for a white lie. Nobody should ever lie, but a white lie might work. It might give you a little bit more time to get that report done or to get those stats over to your administrator. I get that part. But in a relationship, I don't think white lies should even exist. I think if you already said that, hey, I'm for you, you're for me, we're together. I don't think that there's any room for white lies, green lies, yellow lies. There's no room for it. Because once it starts happening, how do you stop it from rolling downhill? Well, this made them feel better. People say that in relationships. I did that to protect you. No, you didn't. You did that because you didn't want to deal with the situation. You did that because you thought that my reaction might not fit your needs. Yes, Jananama, yes, you're right. You do want to. I think I'm a big kid now. Big man. I think I can accept it. And at least it gives me that one thing that makes the universe go around. It gives me a choice. It gives me a choice. I can choose to say, if you have to lie, Coach Brown says, if you have to lie at all in any relationship, soul searching should be a consideration. Yes. Well, like I said, at work, and your boss comes over to report you're supposed to have done by noon, and it's 3 o'clock, and you're telling, oh yeah, I just misplaced it on my desk. That to me, that's why. But yeah, there is really no reason to lie. So I do agree with you to a certain extent. But in a romantic, I'm for you, you're for me relationship, or even with family, I don't think lies are necessary. Thank you for the lights. I appreciate that. I don't think it's necessary. And if you find, and we start to see once our rose-colored glasses come down from the love bombing stage, we start to see those little white lies. And then they turn into gaslighting. Oh, you misheard me. I didn't say that. No, you're misunderstanding me. Oh, if I said that, I didn't mean to say that. You start dealing with that. So now you know where you're at. Now you understand where you're at. And you're saying, well, this person has just been lying to me. Every time I turn around, it's just another lie. How does that make you feel? You become frustrated inside. You start playing back all those conversations that you thought then was a lie, but you know what you did? You made excuses for them. See, you take yourself out of the equation, which is what the narcissist wants you to do. That's what the narcissist wants you to do. And Coach Brown, you're completely correct. Lies are based in fear or of exposure or lack of confidence. Yes. And this is, we have just discussed the narcissist mindset in just this one sentence. They never want to be exposed. And anybody that's dealt with them, we soon find out that that whole confidence that they gave us in the beginning was a facade. That wasn't real. That was a performance. We soon find out that this whole time we've been dealing with an escaped third grader, basically. That's the emotional capacity that they have. And then it feels weird because you're like, this person has the emotional intelligence of a child, but I've been with them for X amount of years. Then you know what happens next? You start blaming yourself because you saw it. You saw it, but you start blaming yourself, and then 99.9% of the time, we go back to looking at time investment, emotional investment, and then we say, you know what, let me just try a little harder to fix this person. There's no fixing. There's no tool that you can buy from Home Depot that's going to fix this. There's nothing you can get off of the shelf. There is nothing, no script that can be written. You need to get out. And until you get clarity, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Because as long as you believe, listen to me clearly, as long as you believe that there is potential and hope, as long as you believe that, there's going to be something inside of you, your nervous system, that's going to say that you need to stay. Because you've gotten to the stage where the ish show is actually comfortable now. You're used to it. It's not fun. You really don't like it, but you got used to it. And the narcissist knows that you got used to it. So you'll find that the lies will just come fast and furious. The lack of empathy will show itself. They're not even going to try to play it off like they care. They're not even going to try to pick those words that don't make sense that come out of their mouth, because they're saying, damn, the jig is up. I think they know. I don't care about how they feel. See, we give up so much of ourselves, for these things. And let's look at it like this. When you get into these dynamics, do you notice, and the kids say this a lot, everybody knows about energy. You get that energy, that good energy, that bad energy. There's that energy there. When you're in a narcissistic dynamic, there comes a time where the planets align, the universe goes into another dimension, and you literally feel it in your bones. That's the day that you wake up and you say, oh my freaking God. My exact words to myself was, how the hell did I get here? That's what I sat up on the bed, went up against the pillow, looked up at the ceiling and said, how the hell did I get here? I felt horrible. I felt so horrible. And then on top of it, who the hell was I going to tell? Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that so much. Who was I going to tell? Who's going to listen to me? Because for years this has been going on. I didn't stop it. I made excuses for it. But when that energy shifts, when you feel that, it's like you want to literally go in the bathroom and, because you start to realize a couple of things. The person that said they love me really didn't love me. The person that said they cared about me really didn't care about me. The person that I kept on giving chances to didn't deserve it, much less my love, much less my attention, and God forbid, my time. Then this is the scary part. This is the really scary part. We go down the rabbit hole because we say to ourselves, well, I've been with this person for 15, 20 years. I don't want to start over. At least I know that they're a piece of crap, but I don't want to start over. I don't want to go back out there in the dating field. And then, well, at this age, how the hell am I going to find my soulmate? My soulmate is probably retired. That's the lies that we tell ourselves. We put more value on everything else, and we seem to put no value on ourselves. And that's what you've got to ask yourself. How important am I? Because throughout this whole relationship, you have made another person, not even a person, a demon, the main focus of your attention. You have lost so much of yourself. And if you understand that you're in this dynamic, or you even have an inkling, you know how much of yourself that you lost. I don't even have to tell you. You're not the person that you were. Because you've been pouring every ounce of energy. The narcissist knows this. They do this on purpose. You have been pumping all of the energy that you have inside of you into this person. How much time have you taken to care for yourself? This person, you're having a crisis in your life. This person is going to turn around and go back to sleep. We'll take care of it in the morning. Okay? They have a crisis. You're jumping up. You're finding shoes, boots, hats, coats. We're going to solve this. I got you. We're going to figure this out right now, because that's what you've been doing all along, Phil. And I'll tell you a secret. Some of those fire drills, some of those shows, they're actually manufactured because they're bored. Think about it. It might, in my case, it was something that happened a week ago. I'm thinking it happened just now. It happened a week ago. They just got bored at that moment. So they needed you to jump through a few hoops. You became the entertainment. Okay? You became the entertainment. This is what the narcissist uses you for. Entertainment. To regulate their emotions. They're all over the place. They don't really know what the hell they're thinking half of the time. But making you jump through hoops makes them feel better. It makes them feel that much better. And when you realize that, again, besides running to the restroom to empty out everything that you ate in the last 2 days, oh yeah, that is truly the feeling. That is true. And there's probably stuff down here and I haven't seen. I thought so. Oh, Coach Brown, thank you very much. I'm sorry. My phone, for some strange reason, it'll just stop scrolling mid-live. So I'm sorry about that. But yes, I did. And thank you for sticking around. I appreciate it. And thank you, NXX228. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, this is just something with my phone. I don't know. This pixel is crazy. But yeah, so we need to, and Ozcan, thank you for joining. We need to find a way to begin to feeding back into ourselves. And the way that we do this, and if you're here, stick around, follow the people that's in here. Janana Mama, I'm fixing my thing. Janana Mama, she actually, like I said, she's coming up with a workshop, hopefully soon, because I am super excited. I believe Coach Brown actually has a class, or a series of classes that she's coming up with. And of course, I have Break the Trauma Bond in 7 steps. And I actually have Clarity Empath sessions. If I had to pick the two, I'm going to tell you like this: it's what you need. It's what you need. Some people, they prefer to have that one-on-one energy. Let's get on Zoom call. Let's talk it out. Let's figure it out. Release some of the stuff that you've been carrying. And some people, they just say, hey, listen, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to take this course. I'm going to do it at my pace. I'm going to do it at my time. Okay. Nog Talks will be a weekly Zoom meeting. Yeah, that's what I said. Go ahead and follow her if you're in here. She's got stuff that's coming up. This is what survivors do. This is what survivors do. We don't, after we get past the point of figuring out what we went through, and we stop kicking ourselves in the butt, and we stop, crucifying ourselves. Many of us, we turn around and we say, I can't let somebody else go through this. I can't let someone have to jump off their head to a food. But yeah, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. See you tonight. Guys, make sure you follow her if you're in this room. But yeah, like I said, that energy, it changes everything. It changes your whole outlook. It changes your outlook on yourself. It changes your outlook on them. It changes your outlook on your life at where it sits. Excuse me, presently. It changes your life from where you sit at presently. You start examining it. You start looking at it. And that is the critical moment, or as they say, that is the tipping point. That will be the tipping point. That your future will be decided by what you do once that energy shift hits you in the head, basically. You know, and some people, they'll continue to make excuses for the narcissist. They'll continue to think that their love, and I don't know how much more you can give based on what you've been given up to this point. You know, they still think that their love can fix them. And you know, and I get it. Being an empath, I get it. You do think you can fix it. You do. You do. You think that this, you're looking at someone that's broken. You kind of sense their pain. You just can't put your finger on exactly what's causing it. And you figure, you know, I can fix you. I can help you. And in a real relationship, that's what you're supposed to do. If you feel your part, I mean, who spends 25 years with somebody? That person gets an illness that's basically devastates their life, and their mate just walks out the door. Who the hell does that? A narcissist will. Don't get it twisted. They will. If you cannot be useful to a narcissist, they will exit stage left every freaking time. Okay? It's like they do an asset and a debit sheet, and it's like, well, they're going to be getting a check, so that's going to work. But I'm probably going to have to take care of them. They don't want to do that. They don't want to not have you cater to them. They don't want that. That doesn't fit their agenda, and it definitely doesn't fit their mindset. So you will find in these relationships where one partner, I know a couple where the person is kind of losing up here. They have I forget what it was, Alzheimer's, you know. And this woman is by this man's side constantly, talking to him, reassuring him, keeping an eye on him. And that's a beautiful thing. I think that's what we all want. You're not going to get that with the narcissist. I found that out firsthand. I used to literally say, if I go blind, you will probably sit me in the corner and go on with your life and only probably pop up when the check comes in. Really? You know, that's what I said. That's when you get to that point where you have to make a decision. You have to make a choice. Everything that you've done, they will only get worse with time too. Imagine that. Yes. Bitter. Bitter Betties and bitter Bobs. Because people look for karma, and you know they're going to get it because the way the universe works. You might not get a front row seat. It might not play out the way that you expect it to, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to come. You can't go through your whole life going out of your way trying to break people, and don't think that when you're in need that all of those people are going to circle back around. They're going to spin the block and say, okay, I know. No. I understand why you're doing that. You're a narcissist. No. Most narcissists go into the sunset lonely as hell. Okay, they go into the because nobody wants to deal with them anymore. Nobody wants any more of the lies. Nobody wants any of the manipulation. They don't want it. There's better things to do on a Tuesday than to be manipulated. You know, when you think about it, who wants that? Who signs up and says, "Oh, go ahead and manipulate me, baby. That's what I need. I need some of that good manipulation. I need to doubt my reality. I need to even think that you're on my side." You know, I want you guys. I want you guys. Like I said, you got options. You know, as Harlow would say, you got options. You know, and believe it or not, you've always had options. I had to come to that conclusion in my life. I always had options. You know, when dealing with the narcissist, I just And that's why I blame myself. I take accountability because I didn't leave for fasting. Janana Mama says, get out while you still have time to find a new partner if that's what you want. And I think I want to talk about that tonight, trust in finding a new partner. So thank you for reminding me of that, because I think so many of us, we self-isolate after dealing with the narcissist because we still can't put the shit together. Like, what the hell really happened? What the hell really happened? You know, it's like a freaking X-file. Like, what? What happened? Who hid the paperwork? Why didn't I see this sooner? You know, like I said, I want to make this brief. I want to actually hit the hour mark. I don't know why, but I want to hit the hour mark. Like I said, follow Janana Mama. She's good people's. She's good people's. And you know, since I've been on this journey, I'm going to tell you, once you start speaking and telling the truth, there's something else that happens, and it really doesn't affect the narcissist. It affects you. You start to build a tribe. You start to build a family. You start to build people that get it. And when we're coming out of these dynamics, sometimes that's all we want are people that actually get it. You know, because there was a point that one more person told me just get over it. I probably would have picked up something and knocked them over the head. It's like, do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you see what I've gone through the whole time with this person? What do you mean get over it? I'm scarred, damn it. You know, it's like, yeah, you want people that actually get it. You know, and when you come into environments like this, utilize it to the best of your benefit. You know, connect with these people. Somebody saying something that resonates, connect with them. You don't have to go over their house for dinner, but you can connect with that mindset, and that's that good energy. You know, the hey Ernesto, how you doing? You know, that's that really good energy when you find people that resonate and vibrate with you without the exploitation, without making you feel as if you're losing your mind, without making you feel confused. You know what's wrong with that? Having that type of energy around you, and I think these platforms like TikTok allow us to do that. I get so much information off of this damn app. A lot of that I fact check, but yeah, I get a lot of information off of this app. You know, I get a lot of information from people, and I've met some great souls out there. You have to remember, if you care deeply, if you love deeply, if you care about more than just yourself, more than likely you're an empath. More than likely you're an empath. I've kind of signed off on that. But I'm going to tell you, my algorithm is immersing me in this work. Yeah, that's why in the beginning, that's why I said that. If you keep on finding yourself, this is thrown into your For You page, your feeds. It's not like I don't even know how to put in the correct keywords. It's not that. It's that you're telling the system, I'm trying to understand this. And so, yeah, you'll be pushed in front of these lives. You'll get all the videos from all the creators. You know, I mean, that's all that's really on my feed. You know, is narcissism. You know, and every once in a while I'll get empath stuff and Carl Jung stuff because the algorithm knows this is what I look at most of the time. You know, I study this not just for myself, but I study it for all of you. At the end of the day, this is why I study it, not just for me. I want to be knowledgeable, don't get me wrong. But those times when I want to put down a book, those times that I want to put down the audio book, the times that I want to turn off that video, I have to tell myself I'm not doing this just for me. There's somebody else that needs me to be on top of my game so that I can explain it to them in such a way that there's no more doubt or confusion in their minds. I think that's a good thing. I really do. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I will be on at 8 o'clock again. Okay. And we're going to talk about trust and finding someone new. It's not as hard as you think. I haven't found my soulmate yet, but it's not as hard as you think, you know. The person that was you didn't go anyplace. They're just sitting up there in a lazy boy chair chilling. Yeah, see you later, Janana Mama. Hey guys, thank you very much. Have a great day. Stay out that heat. And if you're like me, stay away from bees. I'm gonna go outside and then try not to run. All right. Love you guys. How do I get off of this?